Okay, let me just adjust it here. I'm going to change the quality of the video. There we go. Okay. Right. Well, good evening. So this is going to be, you can see what's on the screen already, the website, which I'll get to towards the end of the stream. Oh, I hate the reflection from my glasses. It's so bad. Doesn't matter. What can we do? Let me look at my face here and look at that pretty picture on the tomb over my left shoulder. Obviously, that's my reflection there. The left shoulder's here, the right shoulder's over here. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Middle East. In this case, what's happening in Iran. Briefly go through the latest information I've got here. Then explain to you what's really happening over there. Then head straight to that website which I showed in the previous slide. You can see there Project Parley, which is the MP votes database. And I'll tell you about all the changes I made there. It's been quite a bit of work done on that site over the last month or so. So people are new to it. Most people will be new to it if they watch this video now. I'll explain in more detail what it's about and why I'm doing it. And I think that's about it really. We'll wrap up on those. It's quite late, that's why I can't be on for too long. So let's go straight to what's happening in Iran. So I suppose I'll talk about the by-election, I suppose. No, it's already been covered quite a lot. We know about the by-election, of course. The Green Party won it, as expected. But maybe not by the margin they had it at, which was about what? Was it 4,000 votes, I think it was, in the end? So it wasn't too bad for Greens, but it wasn't the worst result for Reform. Either way, I did say in my video, and you can go and watch it for yourselves when you get a chance, as the breakdown before the actual vote happened, that even if Reform won that, they're probably going to lose it in general due to tactical voting. So that was very likely to happen at some point. Okay. A lot of voices in America are coming out and saying that, well, why are we doing this regime change stuff again? What was the purpose of attacking Iran? What exactly is the plan as well? Well, like most things, America doesn't have a plan for anything. They just go and blow things up and pick up the pieces afterwards. That's what happens. The American foreign policy has always been the case. That's not anti-American, it's not anti-Semitic, it's not anti-Zionist, none of that stuff. Just a reality, right? And people keep thinking, why does this keep happening? Well, you know, for those who are new to this, I don't expect to be completely up to speed on what's happening. But for those who've been around as long as I have, you should know already, American foreign policy sucks. It definitely sucks. Your economy sucks as well over in America because you keep printing money all the time. And Matt Walsh came out and said that, we've got rid of the Iranian regime apparently like 3 or 4 times now, and their nuclear program is non-existent. So how they go from non-existent to back up again and on the verge of developing a weapon again, the nuclear bomb in this case. And Iran has not planned any attacks on the United States. They've not really planned many attacks against Israel because Hezbollah have already been beaten down quite a bit over in Lebanon. And Israel's actually done a quite solid job on that. So the question is, why hit them now? Epstein files is a big deal in the United States. Even some people in the Middle East have been caught up on that too, by the way. Bin Salman's name, who's the head of the king of Saudi Arabia, his name has been robbed quite a few times in the Epstein files. Other people have been robbed as well. So is it a distraction? You can look at it that way. I just think at one point or another, they are just trying to seize an opportunity to hurt their quote-unquote enemies, meaning the people that they are competing with, in this case Russia and China. China's probably not going to be as affected as Russia would be in this case, but Russia doesn't seem to care at all, so to speak, in terms of what's happening, because if you actually look at what's happened, what's going on? Is the stream on? It is. So I'm just checking the live feed. It looks like it's okay. Let's carry on. Right. If you look at Russia, for example, when it comes to Syria, this is the most funny. This is just so hilarious when they thought, ha ha, Assad's gone, right? And this is their big thing, that Assad is actually no more, and therefore it's all cool now, right? And what they seem to forget is that Russia is, for the most part, certainly I would say the overwhelming majority part, very transactional, meaning that they are a country that's going to do things that has benefit to them. So Assad was actually, I wouldn't say necessarily forced out, he kind of left on his own, but he was on the verge of leaving anyway because things weren't going very well in Syria. There was a lackluster preparation from the Syrian armed forces, caught by surprise, and Assad's gone along with his any people who were linked to his regime at the time, and in comes in Jelani along with the militia groups who are there now. And those militia groups have been committing actual war crimes, ongoing war crimes in Syria, all across Syria, in areas where the Alawite communities, the Druze community, Christians as well, who have been destroyed, essentially. The livelihoods, men have been executed, women too have been killed too, along with children, and it doesn't seem to bother most people. Okay. To be fair, the people who are quote-unquote pro-run, as they would like to call them, which I don't think they're pro-run, they're just a bit stupid. That's the way I look at it. They've been speaking about this. The people on the right have not been speaking about the situation in Syria at all. And all of a sudden, the new group of people who were supposedly, enough of these foreign wars, let's actually settle down, that we have to deal with these people, unfortunately, it's the way it goes. All of a sudden, no problem with us bombing countries again and seeing people leave their homes and running over to Europe again. And migration crisis is actually mainly caused by this. If you're actually going to displace people, don't be shocked if they try to come over to your country. Not because they're owed a favor or anything, is because you put yourselves in their shoes. Right? They didn't cause any problem to you, by the way. None of them did. Not one Iraqi caused a problem to you, not an Iranian, not a Turk, for that matter. Most people hate Turks anyway, but that's another story. Lebanese, Egyptian, Jordanian, Saudi for that matter, even though Saudi Arabia got their hands dirty in a lot of things, right? None of these countries cause you harm directly. And here we are bombing the crap out of them. Here we are causing more problems in the Middle East. And I said in a tweet, you have no idea what you've unleashed. No idea. A lot of these Middle Eastern countries, the Arab states, the Gulf states, whatever you want to refer to them as, are very, very angry with America right now because they've started to see that actually this is not good for us. There's been instability in our countries, and there are people who are obviously going to ride on the cloaks of nationalism. Okay, there's a resurgence in that, and most people in the Middle East don't really want that. But unfortunately, the people who've got the willpower, who actually are fighting this, who actually are driven to this idea that we don't want Americans here, we are against Westerners and so on. They've got more willpower, they've got actually more drive in them than the people who oppose it. And people are a bit too lax in some places around the world, particularly in the Middle East, because it's obviously been chaotic for so long. They finally got some peace in some areas, and now within the space of 2 weeks after this situation regarding the Middle East, here we go again. If you're going to do regime change, why don't you go and do it rather than just playing around with that? Because they finally found out they can't do it in Iran. It's going to be very, very difficult to do a regime change in Iran. And look what happened in Iraq. Okay, things have changed since the wars of Afghanistan and Iraq. As bad as they were, things changed drastically. You notice there's a lot of long-range attacks, just paying each other for long-range missiles, drone attacks. And that's because if you are, up to date, up to speed, what's happening in, for example, in Ukraine, Russia, you would know, right? You would know that there has been a war between the two sides where they're joining each other, and there's not been much move on the ground. Even Russia made incremental gains, but not huge gains. Okay. So these wars are not going to see a lot of soldiers on the ground. Now, Israel, of course, have called out reservists and going to put people in Lebanon, South Lebanon, I think it is, to deal with Hezbollah if they can. Which, of course, is if there's a clash between the two, like we're talking about like a head-on clash, it's going to be a major problem. Um, for Israel. Israel did suffer a lot of casualties in the conflict of Hamas. The casualties were, I think, up to almost 50% of the casualties were men under the age of 30, under the age of 35. So that's that's something which they cannot really afford. The head-on clash of all these groups. And Iran, even to this day, are still, are still able to hit Tel Aviv. In some cases, even hit Cyprus. So for a country that's got no real leadership, a lack of military, is not doing too badly. I hate to say it. And that's very worrisome. And of course, we seem to do a lot of dirty deals with Saudi Arabia, with Qatar. I have no idea why we do deals with these guys. Okay, this is because we pay them money to shut up. Basically, that's what happens. In Eastern countries, what do you think happened with Israel and Egypt? And this is actually a known thing. It's not some sort of secret. Israel was happy to see America pay billions every year to Egypt so they won't attack Israel. This is an unknown thing. It's not some secret conspiracy or Illuminati, Zionist, whatever you want to call it. It's not a conspiracy. It's a known thing. All that money thrown towards saying to countries, please don't hurt Israel. And now a situation whereby if you cannot finish this off, you're going to see some Islamic countries going over to, even if you look at, for example, what's happening with Iran, which is interesting, because some people observe this, it's actually a very good observation when I read this, is that Iran have hit American bases, Western bases, in parts of Middle East. And they don't actually seem to mind that. It might actually do them a favor. Especially those who actually are just, from one side of the face are saying, okay, I'm happy to deal with you. On the other side, of the comments get rid of you. And I think in this case, Arab states are more than happy, particularly Gulf states, looking at them right now, they're probably thinking, you know what? We wouldn't mind you out of here. Good riddance. That's a worry for Israel, because Israel will not be able to handle that. Believe me, you've got no chance. If all these Islamic nations coming at you, America can't do anything except drop the bomb, which they won't do. No person. I mean, which nations dropped the bomb in this? Which nation? Except for America, not really many people have gone out there and dropped a huge bomb on top of a country. So I am not expecting that to happen. Iran right now, I'm looking at some of the pictures here. If I just go to my, can't get through here, let's have a look. See on a bigger screen actually for myself. So, what's the latest we're hearing from them? I'll give you some latest information while it's loading up. Let me explain to you something about the Saudi Arabia and Iran situation. And I've said this a few times in my previous streams, like past streams, you probably have, for those who haven't seen them. Iran is the voice of the Shia people. Saudi Arabia is the voice of the Sunni people. Whatever those guys say, the rest of the crowd, the followers, will actually make their move. So if Saudi turned around and said to Sunni Muslims, reign free, kill as many Shia people as you can find, go and start attacking Israel or attack this country, they would do it. Same with Shia over in Iran. Iran gives them a direct order, they will follow. They've got their own proxies all over the region, but of course there's a lot of people who live in these countries, like Sunni Muslims live obviously predominantly in some countries like Saudi Arabia, whereas Shia Muslims is quite a large number in Iraq, for example. So you have that problem going on, and so you have to decide from an American perspective. And I get this bit, even though I'm not happy with it, but I get it. Right, I'm not happy at all about this. I get why the administrations choose one or the other, right? Would you choose a country like Iran, who's very resilient, but has no comparison in numbers in terms of the rest of the Middle East? You would choose the rest of the Middle East, wouldn't you? Obviously, it's a given. So, from that perspective, and this is why, of course, when I keep looking at the situation that's happening in the Middle East, is that for all of us, the way I have to see things now, is that if you're against war, you're in one category. If you're for war, meaning as in you're for the fact that you want to get rid of the regime and go in and start bombing them, you're seen as a nut job. I think we can all agree that the Iranian regime is terrible. Fine, put that to one side. Khomeini is not a nice guy. Okay, fine. But what is your plan exactly? How are you going to execute this plan? And what's the outcomes of it? And what are you going to do in the worst case scenario? Americans have already lost 6 people. 6 soldiers. Who I don't think were even on combat duty. Or engaging in combat, so I should say. And potentially they're going to lose more. Now Trump won't care because he wants to go out there and say, I brought peace to the region, this is my 1,000th peace deal apparently. Please praise me, please give me credit. And all he's saying now is these people are profiting from it. Just follow the money, guys. Follow the money when it comes to these things. Forget about a conflict breaking out. Follow the money. People are enriching themselves here. Arms trade, stock markets, the rise in gas prices, the fall in oil prices, whatever it might be. These people are profiting from this any chance they get. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about freedom. They don't care about any of this stuff. They just don't care. Just all you have to do is look at what happened in Afghanistan and in Iraq. That's it. And it suggests now that the CIA are looking to arm Kurdish forces or Kurdish militia groups in Iran to start a revolution in that country. Okay? Now, I'm afraid to say this, but I'm just going to come out and say I'm not particularly a big fan of the Kurds, but you Kurds must be really stupid you fall for this. Why do I say that? Kurdish people, do you know what happened to you in Syria? The West turned their back on you, just like they turned their back on the Assyrians post-World War II, they've turned their back on you too as well. Wake the hell up. They don't care about you. Your men and women getting slaughtered by Jelani forces and those militia groups he's attached to in Assyria. No one cares about you. You're on your own. Now all of a sudden they use you. What do you think is going to happen to most of you should you lose that battle against the Iranian regime? You are finished. You are finished. So tread carefully. Stay neutral, go for it. I'm all for that. But never side with us, so to speak, on this. The amount of betrayal I've seen of so many Middle Eastern minorities. You're not exactly a quote-unquote minority there now. But all the kind of like Shia Sunni groups. The amount of betrayal I've seen. The West are willing to back Jelani, who's going out there with his forces and militia groups and slaughtering Syrians, and turn a complete blind eye to that, because apparently freedom and democracy doesn't matter in that country, but it does matter in Iran. Feminism doesn't matter in countries like Syria, but it does in Iran. I never got this. Never understood this hypocrisy of people. That's why I can't stand any of them online. I don't care which side you're on, I can't stand any of them. They're all hypocrites. Do not trust these people. Then the same people mentioned earlier about immigration. People migrating from the Middle East to Europe. Even to this day, Iraqis, Afghanis are still trying to come to UK via boats. Still. These idiots online keep saying, well, if we change the regime in Iran, you know what's going to happen? All the Iranians will go back. No, they fucking won't. Pardon my French. No, they won't. Why the hell would they go back to a war-torn country? Why? How many Turks have left Germany to go back to Turkey? These are supposed to be, remember, these are Turks and Iranians who are the ones who are liberal-minded, who left these countries because they're too extreme to live in places like England and Europe, right? Why the hell would anyone in these countries go back? Why? Would you, as a Turk in Germany, go back to Turkey? No, you wouldn't. If you're doing well in Germany, why the hell would you leave? If you're an Iraqi, living in England right now, you've now settled, you've got yourself a nice job, or a decent job, can pay your salary, get a good salary, pay your rent, or mortgage, you would stay here, wouldn't you? Why the hell would you go back to a country like that when you're right in the hard middle of all these crooked regimes? Why the hell would you go back? So all these people online who are particularly on the right wing, who pretend this is going to happen, I'm sorry, but you're just stupid as well. In fact, I think you're actually arguably more stupid than those on the opposite side. Because you're just saying it for the sake of saying it. There's no, you can't provide any evidence of this. None. More missiles now going to Israel as you speak. More missiles. I thought they completely destroyed the regime. I thought they killed everybody. What was it, like a 5-year-old now in charge, launching rockets? Another explosion was heard in the Zanzan area, is that what it is? In the province of Erbil in northern Iraq. They can't handle the Iranians, these guys. The US embassy, what was it, in Sarajevo got hit. In Bahrain, there's a bit unsettlement, unsettling situation with people getting really angry because one, you know, they were actually unhappy that Khamenei's dead, but also unhappy the fact that their country's getting bombed. Haifa is getting hit. Eilat's getting hit in Israel. They've got a lot of defences being sent out there. Actually, sorry, the air defence has been used. If you recall, what happened last time was that when these two sides clashed, was that Israel was struggling to deal with the launch of missiles. They were just getting hammered because the air defences were just getting overwhelmed. This is something that Ukraine learned with Russia. Russia said the way we can win this is by air superiority, but what we do is we overload the systems, particularly with drones without warheads. It was very difficult for defense systems to deal with that. And then come with the launch of missiles, hyper supersonic missiles, and destroy their targets. What happened here? What's that there? Is that in the Middle East? Ballistic missile struck the UAE, filmed by Chinese workers. Whoa, man, look at this. So we can get this on the big screen. Not enough to laugh about, joyful. This is wow. Okay, we're almost wrapped up. I'm just going to see what else is happening because I want to get to the website as well. See if I can get this on the screen at least. So go to desktop. Which is this video here? Got it here somewhere. Yeah. So I'm going to go to my big screen so you can see for yourself. These guys are working, right? Put the audio off a little bit there. It looks like it's hit someone on the ground though, not on the actual building itself, because you can see how the smoke's come up like that. But these guys, look how high up they are, man. Oh man, wow. I mean, that's one overview, isn't it, from up there? I believe it's from the UAE, from what I mean from the video. It might be, you never know, sometimes the videos they could be fake, you know, or not fake, as in they could be like old videos and they come from the recent. That's what I've been told. This is actually from the UAE. Wow. Yeah, not a bad day there. Up there in that building, looking at the fire from below. Jesus Christ. God bless these people and do that kind of work. Blimey. Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything else just so we can wrap up the situation with Iran. I want to move to the website and talk about that because I'm actually very excited about the progress made there. Let's see what's going on. That's the latest information. Most of it's in Arabic, so I have to translate it. Okay, we've got here US Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says that there's another republic Iran seeks to destroy the Sunni Islam, replace with Shiism from the Arabian Peninsula. They Iranian clerics to destroy Sunni Islam in Saudi Arabia and replace with Shiism. I mean, Lindsey Graham is really full of shit. He's one of the worst human beings on the planet. He's now saying that Israeli Jews, American Christians for the most part, should lose their lives to protect Sunni Islam. Here's a little fact for you guys to understand. It's a history lesson. Do you remember a guy called Saddam Hussein? Oh yeah, Saddam Hussein. Do you know he was a Sunni Muslim? Do you know he absolutely detested Iran? Did you know he was the best deterrent that we could have had against Iran. Who got rid of them? The only meeting before that, all that decision was made? Israel, obviously. Iran, yes, Iran had a meeting with the Israelis and Americans, and the Saudis. This guy's a problem for us. We need to get rid of him because he's an issue. He's caused us a headache. Get rid of him. You got rid of the one deterrent in the region. You set off a war. For 20 years, you caused mayhem chaos in that country, destroyed infrastructure, you plundered the country of its oil. Then, on top of that, the exact same people like Lindsey Graham saying these guys want to destroy Sunni Islam and Saudi Arabia, which is complete bullshit. It's one of the big, it's such a lie. Absolute lie. The one that's not a lie is when the fact that they decided to do is to try and pin Sunni against Shia. That's not a lie. This is deliberately done to pin both sides together. This is exactly what he may want this too. But him to say that Shia Islam is a threat to Saudi Arabia, it's not a threat at all. When has Iran ever invaded Saudi Arabia? When has Saudi Arabia even thought about going to Iran? Which times? They'll give me the history of those two countries. I'd like to hear it. When has Saudi Arabia and Iran gone directly at it for the sake of both their religions and tried to invade each other's countries? When? Has that happened once before? I don't recall that one time. I mean, whether Saddam will still be alive today, I don't know. He might have died. You know, if he was still around, might have died like 5-6 years ago. Who knows? Who knows? But it was a big deterrent to Iran, and you got rid of him. Then you hand the country after you left to the Iranians, and now you call Iran the enemy. The United States of America has never left the state of war. Never since World War II. Since World War II, have never left the state of war. Constant. The Soviets, the Koreans, the Vietnamese. It goes on and on and on. Never left the state of war. These poor men and women, but mostly men, are dying for what reason? I have no idea. Okay, yeah, the US consulate in Dubai was hit. I'm not sure it hit twice actually. I know it's hit once at least, but I think it's hit twice. In southern Lebanon, the sporadic clashes between Hezbollah and the IDF continue on the border, while Israel aircraft continue to bomb the suburbs of Beirut. Ay, ay, ay. So there is an attack on Israel again from rockets, it looks like. Well, the air defense will deal with most of that, but they're still going to get hit. I'm just seeing if there's anything else before we wrap up this. Okay, so I think that's it for now. There's just more sort of bits and pieces I'm seeing, but it's a bit difficult to keep track because so much has been happening. I mean, what was really weird that I read this thing, it kind of creeped me out. The headline: US troops were told Iran war is for Armageddon, return of Jesus. The commander of one of the US Army units told junior officers that war with Iran is part of God's plan, and President Donald Trump is anointed by Jesus to ignite his signal. This is what I'm reading here. I can't believe I'm reading this. This is Satanism right here. To ignite a signal in Iran that will lead to Armageddon and return to his earth. His return to earth. Christ on the cross. Lord Jesus, have mercy on us. These Americans are nut jobs. I can see where they come up with the the stereotype for these American evangelical types. That's right, you evangelical types, stay the hell away from Iraq. Stay away from Iran. We don't want you there. We're fine, thank you. Stay away from us, please. Right, Project Parley. Let's get to that. What is Project Parley? So, I mean, that's a bit exaggerating the actual phrase. Explore Parliament level before, track every vote, analyse MP ideology, understand UK political dynamics through comprehensive data visualization. That's the plan, and that can obviously will change over time. So let's get back to me for a brief moment before I get to the site. You'll see it's divided by, like, it's got a map there, MPs, political parties, constituencies, divisions, trends, rankings, elections, and a calculator. The calculator is a new thing I'd like to go through briefly. So let's go through MPs and parties first, because that's not really changing much, but it's worth recapping it. Okay, so the site itself, ignore the right hand side because you can't really see it, but just Twitter links to those who are headers of the political parties in the UK, who actually are mostly who actually got, you know, a say in the matter. So you can find your MP by postcode here. Before you couldn't, but it's a new feature. So if I put in the one that's example, SW1A, 1AA, and we go find MP, it will find the 1MP for you, and in this case it's Rachel Blake, who is the MP for Cities of London and Westminster. So total votes, attendance, that's pretty impressive for an MP, 100% attendance. And you've got average votes on I, or how many I votes, sorry, and how against how many no votes, almost split between the two. I can go via constituency from here or via your profile directly. And so if I say profile, there's a little picture of it there, some details there briefly, and obviously the I and no votes. So this thing here, this is actually something which I'm still working on this. Because there are like thousands of divisions I need to go through, and this is to say where they are on the political spectrum. Now this doesn't mean they're a good or bad person, just want to make this clear as well, because it's not really right. And it says here, what this means, the score shows how often Rachel Blake, and this is the name of the MP, voted in alignment with conservative ideological positions on key policy divisions. This MP votes in a balanced manner across political spectrum. And it says scores are calculated based on votes on key policy divisions covering economic policy, social issues, foreign affairs, and civil liberties. A score of 0 represents the most progressive voting record, 100 represents the most conservative. Trend analysis compares the last 6 months of voting against the overall historical average. Okay, so this is giving you an idea what it'll look like for each MP eventually. So it's not 100% correct because I need to go through all the divisions and track them down. But this is getting there, so this gives you an idea. Overall score just about 50%. That will probably be realigned because I don't think it should be 0 to 100 when it comes to being a liberal, or full-on liberal or full-on conservative. I don't think that's the case, and that's not reality. So that needs to be adjusted as well, the scale and the numbers as well, which I'll have to work on. And again, this will be more updated, more up to speed in terms of details and everything else. But like I said, it's still early days. And of course, you look at the divisions they vote on as well. So if I go to this one here, National Insurance Contributions, Employer Pensions Contributions Bill Committee Amendment 5, and of course, you'll see how they voted. And you know, depending on that, what the vote would do in terms of the change to the law, change of policy, impact your taxes or your health care and things, would determine whether that's a conservative or a liberal vote, in this case progressive vote on this matter. Okay. You can also download the CV, which you want to go to the official page of the actual division, which is more details. If I go back, you can see there's actually total of there's over 6,000 I have to go through. Yeah, it's going to take a long time. And these will be like the old ones, obviously, because the new ones will come in, like I act on them straight away, but the old ones, these historic ones, have got some in there. So that's divisions, by the way. That's just giving ideas of divisions. You can search for divisions covering certain dates, the classification, classified, unclassified only. And if we go up here, go back to, let's go to parties. You've got all the parties here. There are also going to be more political parties coming up, probably no doubt. Some of these ones always have 0 MPs. We'll go to active only, and there go, so you've got 65. Oh, excuse me, it's getting a bit late there. 65. So you can see there's quite a few. I have no idea why there's one called the Conservative Party and it's got blank. I think that's maybe a duplicate, so I need to probably remove that. So I'll take that again. Commonwealth Movement, Communist League, Constitutionalist, Independent, Conservative. I think that's more of like a label. Now, Labour Co-op does exist, but because it was causing problems in terms of the final numbers here at the top for Labour, I said just put them under all Labour, because everyone will know their Labour Party regardless. If you click on the party, it'll give you the number of MPs, how many elections they've done, the results of those elections, and of course their MPs as well. And on top of that, you can also have historical MPs as well. So these are the total MPs that have been elected who have been got the Labour tag, if that makes sense. So that's something to think about as well. All right. Yeah. So all that happening, and yeah, and that's on which again this has been. You can see some pictures of some MPs there, which of course is, these MPs obviously are quite recent. A lot of these MPs don't have pictures of themselves because these are obviously going back a long time. That's the parties. Not much there. That's been developed still along with MPs. So let's go constituencies. If you go to constituencies, and so I'm going back to my pages, so I can see the actual. Where's the information gone here? Oh, it's back on again. Sorry, to make sure I've got the right video link. There we go. So constituencies, you've got 650, of course, but there are also ones which are not active ones as well. You can see these are historic ones. Okay, name changes obviously change that as well. They all have election results here as well. So these are all ones which are all these ones are long active. There are going to be election results and census data as well. That's worth looking at. I'm going to talk about that a little bit when it comes to census data, because it's worth people that are being curious about what's happening, changes in demographics and so on. So you can see there's two elections: independent, good old Beb, who I think was actually Tory. I think I can remember from his name he was a Tory. Then he went independent. Maybe I could be wrong. I think he was Tory actually. Yeah, I believe he was. So a lot of these Tory MPs went independent when it came to the whole Brexit vote. So you've got that. Reuben Miller, Conservative. So you can see there the from and to end date the last election, because the constituency name had changed, or the board boundaries have been changed. If that's clear. Okay. So that's why this one here, Aberconway, if we copy that and let's paste it in here and search for it, you'll see here there are a couple there. Bangor, Aberconway, and there's the one that's vacant, because that one's now historic. This is the new one. So if you go to this one here, current MP Claire Hughes, obviously in Wales, active seat, one election. But of course, there's been more, but because the boundaries change, in order to get this data in some way accurate, then that's the way to do it. Of course, I could have probably gone down the route of showing what was previously known as. That probably made more sense. But in order to get the data a bit more clear and more crisp in terms of the way it's been sorted out in the SQL database, I went down this route. You can do either one, pretty much, but I went down this route. So there's a Labour hold, which I think doesn't make any much sense. That needs to be corrected because it was a Tory seat, I believe, beforehand. I could be wrong on that one. I'll double check. And the changes, I think, again, this one I'm trying to work out because there's no 2019 here. But Aberconway was an election before. So you go back to Aberconway here. The historic one here. That's the one that's vacant, of course, but of course, things have changed. Right, historic seat. It says they were Conservative before. So I'm not sure how, Tories, it was a gain from the Tories. So if I go back, let's go back here again. Because it says hold. That must have been a gain for Labour though. So that's something, as you can see, these are kind of the tweaks I need to do to get it right. Alright? And these are like election results. There'll be more here to add, of course. If there's more, you go to a particular constituency. Now, this census data, this is probably not the best example. I might need to go to another one actually. Let's go to somewhere in London. Didn't give a name yet. One of these ones. So Westminster was one we saw before, wasn't it? Let's go to that one, Rachel Blake's one. So if we go down here, or sorry, go into the actual constituency. All right. So there's elections here, quite a few of them, because this is not going to change, of course. I don't think the boundaries are going to change for Westminster for quite some time. You got 2010, Mark Field had it. Mark Field held that one. Oh, there's no election results, yes, but it's a strange one. Let's check that one out, actually. But he held them, all right? But you can see the majority changed quite a few times. There you go, 2024. He didn't run. I presume, oh, sorry, Nikki A can run there. She also stepped away from it, or was probably put into another seat. And Tim Barnes ran, he lost. You can see drop down percentage, and Labour won that one, of course, in the end. So, and you can see this is one by census changes here. Okay, and this is actually pretty remarkable because often we are told that this is a Christian country. This is why I think Restore Britain needs to get the head out of the backside, literally, and wake up to the fact this is not reality. Okay, because you look at the census data in this one. This is one example, of course. There's obviously 649 others. This is one example which gives you an idea of how bad things are. 2011 census. So we're talking about 14 years ago. Right? 14 years ago. Now this is in London, of course. So white 68%, which is not, that's sort of quite high, right? That's just the age groups. Don't have to worry about that too much. Christian 47%. No religion 23%. So I wanted to look at those two numbers there. Right? 47. Or let's say 48 because it rounds up. 48 and 23. So no religion has gone up by 5 points. Christian religion has gone down by 10 points in the space of 10 years. 10 years. Muslim 14.4, where it was 12.8. So it's gone up by quite a small number, 1.6%. Right? So no religion has gone up. Muslim has gone up by slight numbers, but the no religion has gone up by higher. Christian's gone down by the higher number by almost 10 points. And that was 2021. That's probably much lower now. Right? You see the problem? But of course, there could be other factors. You could see a situation whereby Christians have moved out of the area. White people have moved out of the area too, right? So if you go to the actual census data in terms of the skin color, 68.5, 2011, 60, down by 8.5, white, in the space of 10 years in the cities in Westminster. Asian British went up by 4 points. Other ethnic group went up by 2 points. Black, African, Caribbean, Black and British went up by 1.3. It's not a lot there. No, sorry, not 1.3. Correction, sorry. Went up by 0.6. And mixed ethnic groups came up by 4. Oh, okay, that disappeared because that's categorized up. Okay, went up by how much is it? 1.6. Okay. So the census changes here yet to be updated for 2024. But you can see there, you can imagine that that's dropped down by 8.5. That's quite a drop. 8.5 there for white people. What was it? 10 points now? Yeah, 10 points. Christian religion. So it's not down to people converting or leaving the religion, or it could be people moving out of the region as well, or London. That has to be taken into account as well. So if we take another constituency, one that's probably a better example here, let's go to Bexley, Hereford and Crayford. Okay, so in 2011 census, white 84.1, Christian religion 61.5, no religion 25.2. 2011. So white has dropped by 11 points almost, and the black African Caribbean black British has gone up by 4.1. Yeah, 4.1. So I ask yourself the question, that's not been replaced. What happened to those people? They didn't just disappear and die. So something's happened there. And Christian, 49.9. 49.9. That's down by 12 points. No religion, 25. Up by 7. A third is now non-religion in that region. So you say takeover, there's barely a takeover at this point. That's the problem. When we look at demographics, you've got to look a bit more closer to the data in each constituency. That's worth exploring more into, and that's what I'm looking at. So the last thing I was going to cover, these other things like trends, rankings are still being developed. Okay, they're not actually essential. I think these two will end up going at some point until I get what I want from both, and I'm happy with certain things that are in both trends and rankings. They'll end up removing. They're probably just handy, for example, in trends. Let's say rankings, for example, is handy. You're looking at safe seats, and seats that are really safe when it comes to election. So when we have the election that happens, trends is taking a long time to develop. What's going on there? Let's go to rankings. Oh, bloody hell, it loaded up, didn't it? There we go. So, this got nothing on it. Okay, we'll have to figure that one. Let's go to rankings. Still needs work on that one. Rankings. So there's demographic analysis, the one which is an interesting one, which I'll go into in a second. Let's go into like safer seats, right? You can see Boodle, Twickenham down there. Lindsay Hall, by the way, is actually, in fact, the speaker, which is Labour, so that's a safe seat of Labour. These other ones are all Labour safe seats. Again, it doesn't mean they can't lose them, but it's very doubtful they're going to lose them next election. So it gives you like an idea in terms of the share of the vote. The majority is quite high. But like we saw with the by-election in Gorton and Denton, this could change. What we need to do when we do like a proper breakdown eventually is look at and see, if we look at these numbers, look at previous elections. Okay, so if we were to look at Gorton and Denton, where Andrew Gwynn was the one who resigned, of course, Gorton and Denton, Hannah Spence is now the MP, which of course the site's updated for, which is pretty good. No picture of her at the moment. You know what she looks like, she's been on camera most of the time. so I think I need to look at, probably I'll need to look at the one election before this. Okay, and the reason I say that is because Gorton and Denton 2019, was it? Yeah, 2019 general election. Okay, and the reason for that, and I'll explain to you in a second why I'm doing this, is because you want to look at trends, and you probably can just about see it's quite, the site's so white, I wish you can put it into black cover because I can see a bit more clear. But I'll tell you what, look, for share of the vote is 67.2. There's always been a Labour safe seat. Okay, vote 30,814. Now if you go back to the 2024 election, so how many votes do you have? 30,814. Andrew Gwynn won that one convincingly again, but he was like 36% ahead of Reform. You can see Greens there quite close behind to Reform in 2019. But in 2024, correction. But his votes, 18,555, they got 30,814 in 2019. That's their ceiling there. Over 2/3 of the vote in Gorton and Denton, Labour got. So, go out to 2026, the by-election. Greens have hit quite high, seen there 14,080. They probably get higher than that, but that means they have to get a lot more of this vote. So look what happened to Labour though, 9,364, down from just, what was it, 7 years ago? 30,800, almost 21,000 votes lost. Now there's a by-election, so Norrie was pretty chipping in. You can see the Tories there obviously are pretty damn low as well, 706, whereas before they were actually on 2,080, which is not much at all. They are down 11 points. but they had 8,639. So their drop down wasn't as significant, of course, as Labour. Labour's majority was pretty damn high. The turnout was 61.7%. I don't think the turnout was that high in 2020. What was it? 2024. Turnout was 47.8%, and the turnout was kind of similar in the by-election as well. This is down by 0.2. So if you think about this, the question is, when you make predictions and look at the data, and obviously you've got to look at the polls as well as one part of it, is that where's the ceiling for Green Party? Because if they can't reach 20,000 votes, I'm not saying they're not capable of doing that, Labour can win the seat back. This idea that somehow they're finished is just nonsense. Yeah, how many votes do they have again? Got them to 30,814. That was their ceiling. That's the height reach they had. So if you look back at the result here, that's a 25.4% drop because they won it so well. So the question is, tactical voting, the family voting issues obviously been in last year as well, but the Greens will probably won this regardless of that. But that's quite telling. That's, God, Advance UK, bless them, 154, 5 votes less than the Monster Raven Moving Party. They need to look at that and think, what did we do right in 2019? I should say 2019. What do we do right now? Now, I don't have, there are some census data here you can see. 56%, which is now 57% white, 27% Asian or British, and you've got Christian 39%, Muslim 28%. So current trends, the Muslims will have a larger number than Christians in this constituency at some point in the future, because that keeps going down. That's been dropping like quickly. No, religion's still quite high, but that's already been overtaken by the number of Muslims in the constituency. Okay, so you have that. That's something to think about as well. So that's something so let's go to calculator. This will be the last bit because I'm going to wrap this up because I'm getting quite late. Let's see if we can get into an hour. Actually, no, sorry, just quickly. Let's go to rankings, go to demographic analysis. So you can see here a regional comparison in terms of, like, for example, white people here. You can see for quite a few of them it's up in 90% plus, but down in London it's 54.7%. Northwest 86.3%. West Midlands gone down quite significantly, 78.8%. If you go to Muslim population there, London is at 14.4% based on census data. Okay, West Midlands 8.6%, 7.5%. Let's go to Christian actually. Northern Ireland is still very much a Christian place compared to the rest of the UK. Yeah, Wales is 48.3%. Scotland is at 39%. Scotland, under 40% classified as Christian. And of course, bear in mind, that doesn't put into account how people are church going as well. No religion. Scotland's at over 50%. Wales almost at 50% as well. Alright? Almost 40% of those in London are born outside the UK. Almost 40%. Okay? This is like a drop down, like an Excel sheet in terms of numbers. Each region there. So you go to correlation analysis. Some of this is actually quite a bit tricky. If I go to Reform UK, it's an example here. So this, bear in mind, only one more, was it 4 or 5 seat election, so it only shows this. So Ashfield, you can see a majority. They got 95.7%. Might be 5%. I'm a bit curious. Great Yarmouth, which of course now is independent under Rupert Lowe, of course, potentially would restore Britain. Alright, you go to Muslim as well. Let's go to Reform, let's go to Labour. Bootle, 0.9. So you've got majority, sorry, that's the majority number, sorry, of the vote they've got. The percentage is actually in the brackets. So over here, East Ham, Birmingham, you can see where I'm going with this. So that's 1.9. What was that? Bradford West. Okay, let's see how this works. So Bradford West, 1.9%. Bradford, not Bradford. Bradford West. Nash Shah. Is it because I think some of these places were run by independent candidates round? There we go, that's the reason why it was so close. You can see the census data there, how it's changed. Just to give you a quick example there you go. 2011 was 30% white. Now it's just under 30%. Muslim completely dominate this constituency. What is it? Almost 59%. Before, just over 50% Muslim. Christian was 28.2, but then it dropped down to 19%. So take away from that. Right, as I said, we'll get more and more in depth in this in the future. For now, just going for a brief rundown what the site includes. Now, calculator. Actually, what I'll do, let me go to the chat on YouTube. I'll put the site in there because I think it's worth doing it, they think. So in the comments, I'll put the link for you guys to go on the website if you want to. It's still being developed, so it's me talking in the background there. Projectparley.co.uk. It should show on there. I'll see if it pops up on my chat. There we go. That's better. That's the website link there. Whilst I'm out, I'll just put my X link in there as well. UKR US News. That's the Twitter account. If you're on Twitter. Okay. Yeah. So election outcome calculator. This is something which I've been working on for quite some time. And honestly, I'll be brutally honest. I don't think it's going to come out the way I want it to. And that's because you have to put so much calculation into this. So if I go here, where's it gone? Oh. Just have it pop up on the YouTube again. Right. Where's my thingy? No, I don't want Excel. Don't want Excel. Right, I can see it now. Good. Right, so this is called. It's like an. I have to use AI for this as well. Just the way it goes. So you're probably thinking, what the hell is this about? If I go to constituency, which obviously you can't see much of it because if somebody's blank, but I can go to one now. So if I go to, let's go to Clacton where module forage is, as an example. So if I go to Clacton, there you go, and I say generate prediction. Okay, so you can see on the right hand side, that's the current result. It predicts based on things I've selected. Okay. Now again, you probably think, well, how are you working this out? I'll explain now briefly how this works. So the projected predicted winner, of course, it was showed up the previous result 46.2 to 47.4, and Conservative up a little bit there. But of course, this is actually showing how solidly this seat will be on the centre right or right wing. Labour dropped down a little bit, Green Party dropped down a little bit as well. And of course, if you look at the information here, oh, what happened there? It just froze. Just one second, guys. Sorry about this. This thing's slowing down. Is it because of the AI? Maybe? No. Oh, that's bizarre. Again, I don't know. Apologies, I have no idea what happened there. Let's go back to the side again and see what works. Okay, there we go. That's better. Yeah. So this chart or these bars here were just based on things you put in. So the age group will be there, ethnicity, religion, housing tenure, which is not there yet, because I haven't got the data in there yet, and education as well. These are probably not likely to change much, so not going to affect the result too much here. Let's just undo these ones. You've got economic modifier, so you can put GDP growth. If I say it goes back to minus 0.5, unemployment up by 0.5, back to 5%, and inflation is at 3.5. Now I said generate prediction. So what you expect it to do it, guys, so this is still being tested, is to adjust the election result based on these factors. So if I say adjust generate prediction, all right. Now, according to this is how wrong this can't be right, because it bears in mind unemployment's going up, GDP growth is below below 0, and inflation's up to 3.5. How the hell does Reform, in this case Nigel Farage, lose almost 2%, whilst Labour gain 0.7 and Tories gain 0.8? So not much difference there, obviously, very minor difference. Then you've got the issue salience. If I say immigration is the biggest issue by 80%, and I say apply, again, they still go down. You can see there's something not right about this. Labour have got obviously dropped down a little bit, bearing in mind that there's no other factors here at all. There's obviously is using a exit poll as well from the data I've seen to predict this, to look at how people vote on certain issues. So Labour obviously have like advantage because obviously they won last time. But in this case, these things, because they're an incumbent party, all they're trying to get it to do is have a think about, well, if inflation's high, if unemployment goes high, GDP growth is bad, therefore it should have a negative effect on the incumbent. Therefore, Labour should not be gaining anything at all. It's different though if Labour have let's say 2%, right? They're not going to get any lower than that probably. So the bounce going to be a little bit higher, despite the fact they might should be bad in these areas here. So the economy, if I put 25%, but NHS at let's say 10%, people cost of living falls quite owned by Labour, because Labour own these issues going into 2024. Therefore, they have the advantage, right? But this has to be done by seats. So if I say that with general prediction again, you can see there, not much change there. And I'll go to ethnicity. Again, I'm not sure if this is true or not based on numbers. If I just go, let's say I'll go to 98% white, some prediction. Again, you can see there, they're losing numbers there. So there's something not quite right with the calculation. The whole point of it is, you go into this, and I can make adjustments and say, well, okay, you know what, I think this person's going to win the seat, and that's based on these factors. Okay, but as I said, it's very ambitious. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve this. I'll do my best, and of course, take from there. No, okay, Clacton or no one? No, Clacton, that can't be right. I'll put Clacton. There's only one though. Well, how's that? Why is it saying to me there's no other ones there? Yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to see what's going on here. Why these numbers are not showing? That's bizarre. Okay, so yeah, that's something to think about. So you can even see here, for example, Clacton, if you look at these numbers here, white is 97.4 in 2011, now it's 96.1. You go to religion though, Christians 50% in 2021. It was 64.6% in 2011. That, by over 10 years, dropped by 14 points. Something got to think about, man. Got to think about it anyway. So that will wrap up things. And I said I was going to go through this as much as I can in a short space of time. I'm not seeing anything else, guys, that's happening regarding Iran. Let's have a quick look here and see the latest. The attention is away from Ukraine as well, which is quite something. Nothing tonight, looks like. I know some missile launches towards Israel, and Israel's clashing with Hezbollah in the South Lebanon. No, Lindsey Graham can't keep his mouth shut, man. Jesus Christ. Iran has claimed they shot down an American F-15 fighter, which I hardly doubt. Not saying it's not possible, but I've yet to see any evidence of this. Strange, because they're able to hit. No, there doesn't seem anything else here actually. Yeah, I'm not seeing that much else yet. There's no other updates. There'll be more tomorrow, obviously, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, that's it for today. For tonight, I should say. And we'll see you probably maybe next week. We'll see how it goes. It's been a while. Keep a close eye on that. There's more news to come from the